It was 2:47 a.m. when the notification hit his phone. Balance, $1,000. He stared at the screen longer than he should have, not because the number was big, but because it was everything. No savings account, no backup, no rich uncle, no second chance waiting quietly in the background. Just $1,000 transferred from a small insurance settlement after an accident that had already taken enough from him. Most people would call it nothing. He called it a beginning, though at the time he didn't yet know how fragile beginnings really are. His name was Daniel Carter, and 24 hours earlier he had been sleeping on a friend's couch, trying not to overstay his welcome. He had failed at college, failed at a startup he copied from someone else without understanding it, failed at keeping promises to himself. The world had not been kind, but if he was honest, he hadn't been disciplined either. That night, with the city quiet and his phone glowing in the dark, he made a promise that sounded dramatic even to his own ears. I will not waste this. If you've ever been at a point where one decision could change everything or ruin it, you know exactly how heavy that moment feels. And if stories like this matter to you, stories about turning small chances into big outcomes, you might want to stay with this one. And yeah, if you like this kind of content, make sure you're subscribed, because this isn't just a story, it's a mindset. Daniel didn't rush. That was his first difference from the past. Instead of Googling how to get rich fast, he asked a harder question. What can I realistically learn that people already pay for? He ruled out things that required large capital, real estate, manufacturing, anything flashy. He noticed something simple but powerful. Businesses everywhere needed online visibility, but most small business owners hated dealing with ads, websites, analytics, and content. That's when he landed on digital marketing, not the glamorous guru version, but the boring, technical, useful kind. Out of the $1,000, he spent $120 on 2 online courses. Another $80 went to books, real books, not summaries, about sales psychology, basic accounting, and advertising fundamentals. He forced himself to keep the rest untouched. That money wasn't for comfort, it was oxygen. For the next 3 months, Daniel lived like someone who had already lost everything, because he had. He woke up early, watched tutorials at 1.25x speed, practiced building fake campaigns for imaginary clients, and failed privately instead of publicly. When friends went out, he stayed in. When doubt showed up, and it did every day, he wrote it down and kept going anyway. Eventually, he needed a real client. Not tomorrow, not when he felt ready, now. He walked into small businesses, barbershops, local gyms, dentists, and offered to run their online ads for free for 30 days. No guarantees, no promises, just results or nothing. 9 people said no. The 10th said, fine, but don't waste my time. That first campaign barely worked. The second one worked a little better. By the 4th, Daniel understood something critical. Skills compound faster than money when you're consistent. At the end of that month, the gym owner paid him $500. It wasn't profit, it was proof. With that $500, Daniel didn't upgrade his life, he upgraded his process. Better software, better tracking, more testing. He reinvested every dollar. By the end of the year, he was making $4,000 a month. Not millionaire money, but freedom money, the kind that changes how you breathe. Then came the overconfidence. Daniel thought he had cracked the code. He scaled too fast, took on too many clients, hired freelancers he didn't know how to manage, and ignored cash flow. When a major client left suddenly, everything collapsed. In 3 weeks, he lost almost everything he had built. Again. That night felt worse than the first, because this time he knew better, or at least he thought he did. He sat in silence, staring at spreadsheets that didn't care about effort or intention. That's when he realized the lesson that separates amateurs from professionals. Survival comes before growth. He stripped everything down, fired fast, cut expenses, focused only on clients who paid well and respected boundaries. He raised his prices and lost half his leads and doubled his profit. Slowly, stability returned, then momentum, then leverage. 5 years later, Daniel no longer sold his time. He built systems. He trained teams. He invested in businesses where his marketing skills multiplied other people's products. He diversified stocks, private equity, SaaS tools, never risking what he couldn't afford to lose. His income became boring, predictable, scalable. Somewhere along the way, the number crossed 7 figures, then 8. He didn't celebrate, he slept. By the time people started calling him an overnight success, it had been 12 years since that $1,000 notification. 12 years of quiet discipline, 12 years of learning instead of flexing, 12 years of understanding that money is a tool, not an identity. Today, Daniel is a millionaire, not because he was smarter than everyone else, but because he stayed when quitting was easier, because he treated $1,000 like a responsibility, not a lottery ticket, because he understood that wealth is built not by chasing outcomes, but by mastering inputs. If you're listening to this and thinking, I only have a small amount to start with, remember this: size doesn't decide destiny, direction does. And if stories like this push you to think differently, to act more deliberately, don't forget to subscribe, not for motivation, but for perspective. Because sometimes all it takes is $1,000 and the courage not to waste it.